Hello and welcome to PayPal's Driving Business Online webinar series. This is the third in the series, and today we're going to talk about how we get passionate customers that help you grow your business and how you learn to understand your customers to help you grow your business. Joining us is Jason Suhoy of 99 Designs, which is a very interesting business which we'll learn about in a second. And we have Emma Hunt, who's a director of PayPal. Emma, thanks for joining us. Now tell us about what you do at PayPal.
I look after our small business segment at PayPal, and really we're all about enabling Australian small businesses to get online and for payments and taking money to be the simplest part of that whole online business model.
Okay, and I know you're really passionate about small business, so you're going to listen to Jason with me. I'm going to grill him for a while to get to understand the business, how they grew it and whatever, and anywhere along the line if you want to interrupt and get involved, you do that.
Perfect.
Okay,
Perfect.
great. So Jason, tell us about 99 Designs.
Yeah, sure. So I guess our mission at 99designs.com is to connect the world with great graphic designers. So we've got a community of over 250,000 talented graphic designers from over 192 different countries from all over the world. And I guess, you know, we're most famous for pioneering the idea of a design contest where, you know, dozens of designers actually compete to deliver you the best graphic design. So, you know, here's an example of how it works. You know, let's say you were to come to 99designs.com and you were after a logo. What you would do is you would go through the website and fill out what we call a design brief, where you specify, you know, what it is that you're looking for in your logo. You know, what kind of logo types, the colours that you're after, a bit about your business, maybe some examples of what other logos you like and ones that you don't like. And then you choose from our packages how much you want to pay, with the idea that, you know, the more money you pay, the more designers and the better quality designers that you'll attract from our platform.
So it's like giving a brief, right?
Yep.
And then that is then put on the internet and people tender a prize and you actually select the one you like. Is that the way it works?
Yeah, so, well, actually, we kind of flipped the model on its head, so to speak, in that instead of designers submitting tenders or proposals to you, they're submitting actual finished designs to you. So in 7 days, you'll receive anywhere from 80 to 100 different designs custom made for you. From perhaps, you know, a dozen designers, and then you pick your favourite, and that's the one that you get.
So what happened to the poor old losers who don't get a look in? They've done the work, it's just tough luck.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we do have...
It's fantastic for the customers, terrific.
We do have certain types of contests. We call them platinum contests, where, you know, it's a short list of designers that get rewarded as opposed to just a single winner. But, you know, when we talk to our designers, you know, they love 99 Designs because, you know, they no longer have to worry about door knocking, about going and, you know, creating
the lead
business
generator.
for themselves. Exactly, we're the lead generator. They don't have to worry about chasing up customers for payment or working on boring projects that they're not really interested in. You know, what we offer is basically 2,000, at any one time there's 2,000 open design projects, 2,000 open design briefs from businesses all over the world, and they can pick and choose the projects that interest them because they're, you know, they're creatives after all, so they need to get their passion going to really put all of their focus into creating a specific design.
Okay, so and I think I can work out in my head what's the great thing for the customer, but articulate the big payoffs for the customer in doing it this way rather than just going to one company and hoping they get it right.
So I guess the biggest thing is creativity, just the sheer creativity of having, you know, dozens of designers think about coming up with the perfect design to meet your brief. That's just something that is almost impossible to replicate, you know, in the traditional world where, you know, you perhaps walk down the road to a shop, you know, to a graphic design agency, and you're working with a single graphic designer who's, you know, how many designs can a single graphic designer come up with?
The same thing if you go to a photographic shop. You're stuck with one photographer who you hope comes up with a great idea when he takes a shot, but you're stuck with that person, aren't you?
Absolutely. And so, you know, then with the power of the internet, we can bring a couple of other factors and advantages to businesses as well. For example, if you're dealing with a single designer or a single agency, you're often restrained by whether they've got available designers to work on your project, or you'll be stuck behind a queue of other clients who also need their stuff quickly. And so, with 250,000 graphic designers all on our global marketplace, every single one of our projects is completed in 7 days, or even quicker if you need it, just because we're able to tap into the sheer scale of having a global graphic design community.
Okay, so just before I make you roll back in time to explain how this all started, who came up with the great idea and all that sort of stuff, what are the areas where you actually operate? You talk about design, you talk about logos, but what are the areas, the specific areas that you work in?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, we definitely see ourselves as a full-service graphic design marketplace. And so anything that you would typically go to a graphic designer from, things like logos, websites, business cards, even to, T-shirts, banner ads, letterhead.
So Todd Sampson goes to you all the time to get all those unusual T-shirts he comes up with.
Totally. You'd be surprised who uses 99 Designs. There's businesses who are trying to get their identity off the ground. Startups. Yeah. We're very popular with startups. But then, we also have, greeting card companies, for example, use us on an ongoing basis. They'll run a single contest and they'll find 20 to 25 unique, Christmas cards that they'll use this year when they go out with their selection of Christmas cards. Okay,
let's roll back in time, because I'm sure both Emma and I want to know how it all started.
Sure.
So how did it start?
So 99 Designs spun out of another company, a parent company called Sitepointcom. So now Sitepointcom has been around for about 12 years. And they've built up a community of web developers and web designers. Their business is basically educating designers and developers on how to build better websites.
Yeah.
And so, if
their customers then were all people who thought they wanted to be website builders.
Or designers.
Or designers,
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, back around 2005, 2006, on Sitepoint's forum, where, these designers were kind of, socialising with each other and talking to each other, a few designers just started competing with each other for nothing other than bragging rights, just to prove who was the better designer. And so what would happen was, one designer would come along and they would come up with a fictional brief. And the other designers in the same forum thread would try and produce the best design to meet that brief and to win the bragging rights. And so, they were calling this Photoshop tennis at the time.
Yeah. And so one of the spectators watching this thought...
Well, exactly. One of the spectators thought, hey, I'm a web designer. One of my clients actually needs a logo designed. I'm no good at logos. How about I pay $100 to you guys for whoever can design the best logo? And so, that little forum thread started to gain traction as a great way to get, things designed.
Yeah. But who was the person who saw that? Can you give us a name of the person who received it?
So Mark Harbottle is one of the co-founders of Sitepoint. And, he's a bit of a product genius, and he saw this organic activity, or the Sitepoint team saw the organic activity happening, and they thought, okay, maybe there's a business in this. And so the first thing they did was try and, almost kill it, or try to kill it by charging money for it. And so what they did was, we very much stick to the concept, even today, of minimum viable product. What's the smallest possible thing we can do to test whether, this opportunity is viable? And so we just locked that forum thread and charged $10 to post a project to it, to see whether customers would pay to get things designed this way. And they did. And we raised the price a little, and they still kept coming. And so, this started to snowball just purely by word of mouth as a great way to get things designed. And so, more resources were put onto it, and eventually we spun out 99designs.com as a separate brand, as a separate business and a separate entity in February 2008.
Okay, is it totally win-win? Sounds great for the customers. Are the designers happy about this? Because certainly there's probably some downsides, but getting exposure to a whole lot of markets, because customers must be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, over the course of the last 5 years, we've got to know our designers pretty well.
Yeah. They give you feedback.
They do. They're incredibly vocal, would you believe?
Yeah, I can understand that.
And so, you know, for designers, we offer them a number of things. You know, there's, in the beginning, you know, it was all about kind of that natural desire for competition for them. You know, they effectively started this whole idea. You know, we didn't come up with this idea of design contests. So, you know, there's a networking element to it. There's a learning element. You know, you're kind of watching and working with some of the best designers in the world on 99 Designs. And then also there's, you know, we talked a little bit about, I guess, the lead generation aspect. But in effect, they don't view it as just a single contest. When they enter a design contest and coming up with a design to meet a client's brief, they're looking at a long-term relationship with the customer. Yeah. So a lot of our designers, when they win a design contest, you know, up to 50% of those interactions then turn into a follow-on relationship with that customer.
And do you get a clip of the ticket for a long-term relationship, or do you get paid first time?
So we offer tools called projects, as, you know, kind of spaces for the designer and the customer to continue on that relationship. So, you know, not every designer and customer decide to use...
Have a long-term relationship?
Well, and even if they do, they don't always decide to use our services, which is fine. We see part of the value of design contests as being, you know, setting up the customer and the designer for a meaningful long-term relationship. Because design contests, we kind of almost view it as speed dating. Yeah. You know, you jump into a room with a dozen different designers, you get a feel for each designer's style, and ultimately you're looking to meet your match.
It could be a one-night stand, or it could be a relationship built in heaven.
Exactly. But, you know, once you've met your match, you know, you probably don't want to go, well, you know, some customers want to go speed dating again, which is great. You know, they can run another contest for their business cards, let's say. But then, you know, a lot of our customers want to keep going with their match and turning into an ongoing relationship.
Okay, so before I ask Emma about some other businesses that have done maybe similar things or different things to create an interesting interaction between both suppliers and customers, what were the things that you guys learnt along the way that you didn't see when this first was created, and the business opportunities that emerged once you created this first important step?
Yeah, sure. So I guess, you know, one of the first things to do that we decided on was to target the US market. And we just, you know, even though we were founded in Melbourne with, you know, a small 5-man team, when we got to the size of about 15 people, we decided, you know, we're going to have a good crack at the US because you know, Silicon Valley's there. That's where kind of all of the disruptive startups kind of take a crack at the market. And if we can make it in the US, we can make it anywhere. And
Frank
so
Sinatra made the point about New York, but go on.
Absolutely. So at that time, our now CEO, Patrick Llewellyn, moved over to San Francisco, and that was our beachhead into the US. And so we hired a couple of support staff as well in the US, because already about 65% of our customers were from the US. And so, you know, those first couple of calls when customers called in on the telephone were pretty enlightening, because, you know, we'd pick up the phone and say, you know, hello, this is Jason from 99 Designs. And the customer on the other end would say, oh, I guess you guys are real, and then just hang up the phone. And so that taught us the value, I guess, of, you know, being a real business and, you know, building trust in the customer's eyes. You know, a simple thing, as simple as a telephone number on your website helps customers, you know, approach purchasing designs online as a decision they would validate in any kind of, the same way they'd validate any other purchasing decision. They want to feel that, you know, there's a real company behind the scenes before they go ahead and swipe their credit card.
Yeah, and do you think over the time...
Or use PayPal.
Or use PayPal.
Yeah, good point, Emma. But do you think over time that you've actually built up a really passionate relationship with the customers to you guys, that the end result of this great idea has actually created a whole bunch of passionate customers that are very loyal to your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually we didn't spend any money on marketing for the first 3 years of our existence. We were bootstrapped out of Sitepoint, and so we weren't one of these startups that raised a bunch of cash and then had plenty of money for Super Bowl ads and crazy chairs and all sorts of stuff. We were very much funded out of our own profit. And so what we found is that customers were coming in using us, and then when they received 60 to 80 logos from a dozen designers, and they were kind of at the point where they had 3 to 5 logos that they could choose from that they would be equally happy with. The next thing that they would do is run out and tell their friends about how great that was, how awesome it was to have the luxury of choice, and at a time where they're super excited about their new venture. It's quite an emotional time for a customer. They're seeing their logo come to life. They're holding their business cards for the first time, and that's when they're thinking, I can do this. And so, that word of mouth factor and the role that we're able to play in helping these small businesses, get off the ground and succeed is awesome.
Okay, Emma, in your case, your role is, helping small businesses understand your business, PayPal. Have you actually seen that kind of reaction from customers as well? Because you guys offer a unique service that helps businesses as well. Can you give us some examples where some businesses have responded really positively to what you guys are offering?
Yeah, sure. I think it's so amazing listening to you, Jason, too. Your business model couldn't have existed 10, 15 years ago. And with all of that comes huge changes in customer expectation. And I just wrote down choice, and that you were talking around, and supporting much broader choice for your customers. What we've been seeing, one of the biggest changes in the last couple of years, more recently, is mobile and the shift to mobile. So at PayPal, we needed to make sure that all of our payment solutions and experiences for customers as they were using PayPal for payments was much simpler if you were using a smaller screen than on a big desktop screen or laptop screen. And now we see, I think there's two of our 5 million customers in Australia, more than 2 million of those customers are using mobile for their payments. So that's sort of been one of the more recent shifts. Sort of, if you look back over 10 years, so much has changed. But one of the really big changes in customer behaviour that we've seen off the back of some of our product innovation is that move to mobile. Yeah.
How important is it for you to survey your customers to know what they want and then come up with a solution?
Really important, really important. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because the 2 million people who are using it, probably until you made it easy, were saying, gee, I wish I could do this on my mobile. Yes,
but also if you think about the iPod, think years ago, 10 years ago, I'm not sure we were all sitting around thinking, do you know, I'd love this thing that I could put in my pocket, that I could carry.
Oh no, you're absolutely right.
There's sort of there's both angles, both sides of that.
Yeah. We don't know what we really want until someone actually shows us.
And someone comes up with something really smart.
But they have an intimate knowledge, like the guys who are behind iPods and iPads and whatever. They did actually work out what it is that we're like. We're all nervous in elevators, so a smartphone's great, so we can just actually avoid looking at people.
No eye contact.
Pretend we're checking our emails and going. But even though we laugh at that, but the reality is it's understanding the way we are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are there other things that you've learned along the way because you just got better at understanding what it was you think customers wanted?
Absolutely. If you think about small businesses, one of the biggest pain points is cash flow. And the more that we can enable quick and easy payments, so that, firstly, you're not spending a whole lot of time chasing your customers for payments as a business owner, and reconciling that, the better. So products like PayPal Here and PayPal's invoicing solution are all straight-through processing payment tools.
Payments are the lifeblood of our business.
Exactly.
We have this design marketplace, but underneath it all, we've paid out over $62 million to our community of 250,000 graphic designers, and I can tell you that the majority of that has been done via PayPal.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking kind of a time now where we're transcending, you know, all country borders, and things like, you know, banks, SWIFT transfers, you know, bank transfers, you know, they kind of get caught up in all the legacy of international banking systems, whereas something like PayPal just allows you to kind of push past
it just happens, and that's how it should be. You know, it should be that, you know, people who use your business services are focused absolutely on that and the product that they're getting and the piece of work they're submitting for their clients across all of the different businesses that we support, and that it just happens and it's really easy. And the more that we can make that as seamless, as simple as possible, then that's what makes me happy.
Listening to you reminded me of the great Dorothy Parker, who once said the two most beautiful words in the English language is check enclosed. Now, of course, that's dated now, isn't it? There are alternative payments to it, but when you're in business, you love to know that you're going to be paid, and of course, if you make it easier, the better. Jason, when this business was growing, were there some shocks to your system in the sense that you learnt the more you dealt with, you know, your customers on one hand and your suppliers on the other? Were there things that you'd never visualised or seen before, but when you saw this whole online business interacting, you then said, gee, we have to do this. This is an innovation that has to come with that.
Yeah, so it's interesting because, you know, I guess we first of all set out with this idea of, you know, producing a great way to get custom design developed, and so, you know, design contests came about as a way, as an alternative to getting a new custom design developed, whether it be a logo, a t-shirt or a website. And so, you know, after time, and even as our own business grew, you know, we kind of found that there was a need for the little things, you know, kind of the small graphic design tweaks and the small design fixes that, you know, were kind of falling in the gap. They weren't a brand new design, but you needed a skilled graphic designer to make short work of them too. And so, you know, even for ourselves, you know, when we have a new starter, for example, you know, one of the first things that you want to do for a new starter is get them a set of business cards. And so you're not looking for a brand new business card design. You're just looking to get, you know, your template updated with their name and their title, etc. And so it was a pain having to drag, you know, one of our, you know, our web designers off an important revenue generating project to, you know, to spend 15 minutes doing things like business cards. So we actually launched another service called Swiftly.com. And so that's a site for small graphic design tasks done really, really quickly. So, you know, in a matter of hours, you know, you could upload your business card if you needed a business card changed, describe what you want changed, and for the flat fee of just $15, a trained graphic designer will pick it up at the other end and have it back to you.
Yeah, that's extra. I love it when you go into business thinking you're going to do one thing, but the more you get into it, you more realise that there's a whole host of other things that can be a great business opportunity. Can you think of any examples of people who, for example, use PayPal in their business and as a consequence they saw other stuff that could be an opportunity for them?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll just go back to a point you just made, Jason, around, you know, by understanding your customers and the needs that your customers had, you saw this separate opportunity. And I think, again, that's what is different around online businesses, is that you have all of this data available. You know so much more about your customers and their needs than you did previously.
Because feedback is fantastic online, isn't it? It has to be Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. You get stuff, don't you?
Yeah, you've got all that information. I was talking to a retailer a couple of weeks ago who was saying, you know, in the old days, if someone was buying over the counter from me, you know, I'd wrap the parcel up and pop it in a bag. I'd hand back the credit card, and if I was smart, I'd have read the name on the credit card and said, oh, thank you, Jack. You know, Jack, Emma, you know, have a nice day. But with online ordering, you've got so much more information. You've got delivery addresses, you've got, for some reason I keep being asked my birthday at the moment. I'm not sure quite why. And it's not because I'm buying a lot of wine online, but it's, you know, you've got so much more information.
We weren't thinking that, Emma. No, but I think some businesses want to know your birthday because they want to say happy birthday to you when it comes up.
And send you an offer.
That's right.
And that's what it's all about.
Or even a present.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
It's all around using that data that you've got. You've got so much more information about these customers. You've got their buying history, which you didn't have before.
Yeah.
And it's around then using that to, whether or not it's nurturing that existing customer base and continuing to reach out to them on their birthdays, or with offers and ongoing promotions and new product information, or it's around saying, hang on, I'm seeing this opportunity here, our business model doesn't address that, hang on, we need to go and do something a little bit different. And I think that's what's so fascinating around all of these different, what people are able to do at the moment. And you can also, the barriers to entry are quite low.
Absolutely.
You can go and test something out that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
And you're not investing a huge amount of money in doing that.
No.
You can test it out. You can get some quick, cheap business cards from 99 Designs,
for $15, we all remember that, don't we?
And if it works, fantastic, and off you go. And if it doesn't, you haven't sunk hundreds of thousands of dollars into it.
No.
And I think that's one of the hugest things around understanding your customers and and then thinking about what that opportunity means for you and your business.
Well, it's interesting. I was talking to one of your colleagues earlier today, and he was saying that even you guys are thinking, well, we're good online. Can we help people offline as well? And you're coming up with an offline offering, which is kind of sensible, because there's a whole lot of businesses out there who want both.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
What about you? Was there any other revelation that came along the way that you didn't think of it at the first instance, where you can say, well, 99 Designs, we can also do that?
I guess the follow-on relationship aspect was another eye-opener for us.
Yeah.
In that, when we first launched Design Contest, it was really just about that single transaction, or that single
get a satisfied
design
customer.
element. Exactly. Get a satisfied customer and a satisfied designer, because they're getting paid to design something for a customer. And so that ecosystem was working great. But what we were finding was that our best designers were, that they would kind of have a flurry of activity. They would win a whole heap of contests, and we'd be in great contact with them, and then they'd all of a sudden just kind of start to plateau and then eke off, and then they would no longer be using the platform. And so that was obviously pretty concerning to us.
Alarm bells are ringing.
Exactly.
Find out what's going on.
Well, this designer used to be so great and earning so much money, where are they going? So, we spoke to a few of them, and the theme was that, they were meeting so many clients through our platform that what they'd effectively done is built up their own freelance graphic design business.
Yeah.
And so, that really shows the power of those follow-on relationships and the leads that they were generating through 99 Designs, that, they were able to build up basically an income stream that no longer relied on 99 Designs bringing them
But
work.
did you guys start saying, well, what can we do to maybe get some reward for doing such things as helping people build their businesses?
Yeah, we did.
And did it work?
Well, it's been proving pretty good so far.
Yeah.
So what we did, first of all, was we again took the minimum viable approach, and we thought, okay, what can we offer them that adds value to that follow-on relationship?
Yeah.
And so the first thing we did was give designers an invoicing and a payment tool.
So you took away frustration.
Exactly.
Administration, yep,
exactly.
good,
Solve
clever.
a single need, which is, and PayPal knows that need well, payments.
Yeah.
And so, that grew and grew in terms of demand, and so this follow-on relationship would kind of run its own course, but then tap into 99 Designs for the payment.
Yeah.
And so over time, we've added and grown that platform to be a project platform.
And what's really clever about this, and I know you understand this, Emma, a lot of people are great technicians, they're great designers, they're great accountants or whatever, but they often aren't great at actually running a business, because they're just good at dealing with people. And these people you're talking about, designers, probably fell in that category. And when you came along offering to get rid of all those business frustrations, a lot of them would have said, fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you didn't see that at the beginning of the business, did you?
No, actually, with the benefit of hindsight, I think you've hit the nail on the head. For designers, they don't have to worry about any of the things that surprised them when they got into business, because you can imagine a lot of freelancers, they think, I'm a great designer, I'm not going to work for someone else anymore. I'm going to go and set up my own company.
Yeah.
And so they do that without realising that, you know, you don't actually get that much time to design when you're running a design business. You know, you're too worried about trying to find customers, you know, invoicing the customers, chasing up when they inevitably don't pay.
Managing staff, maybe.
Managing staff, you know, contracts, etc. And
Tax.
so, tax. And so, you know, what was once a passion very quickly becomes you know, doing a whole lot of things that, you know, you never were good at in the first place. And so, you know, the designers that you know, love using us, love the fact that they can get back to what they were passionate about, which is putting their best foot forward through their design.
And when they're passionate, they create passionate customers as well.
Absolutely.
It's funny, some of my best financial planners were people who once went out on their own and realised that they were great financial planners, but they weren't necessarily great at business.
Right.
So I know exactly what you're talking about. And before we wrap up, you know, is there other examples that you've got out there you think where people have actually learnt things along the way, which wasn't there to be seen when they first started, but the more and more they got into it, sure, there was an opportunity there?
Yeah, I think in a way it's sort of, at the risk of being too generic, it's actually around the whole online journey at the moment. And you know, increasingly, I think as a business owner, you're going to see businesses who want to talk to you through your website, who might want to interact with you and your business through social channels, who might want to come and see you in your store, you know, come and talk to you, ring you up, as you mentioned right at the beginning, Jason, give you a phone call or come and meet with you. And it's around sort of, as a business owner, understanding that and then adapting your business to be able to talk to all of those different contact channels where your customers are. And I was talking to a hardware business that's based in Lismore a few months ago, and he was saying that he had a storefront, had a big shop, and then started just selling gradually through eBay, built up a huge online business, was selling online, and thought, you know what, I don't actually need my big shop anymore. But realised that actually things like hammers and nails and screwdrivers, people don't want to wait 3 days for delivery for. You actually want it straight away. So it was around, for him, it was around really understanding his products and his customers, and you know, being in all of those touch points where they are, having a phone number on his website, having a website because he was still doing a big business online, but also people wanted to come and talk to him. People wanted advice around what paint colour to, you know, paint the kitchen, and the need for those particular products more interesting.
And I think the whole thing underlines the importance of being on the lookout to learn stuff from people who are in business. They might have expertise in online or expertise in generating leads. We always should be on the lookout for things that will give us that competitive advantage. And I think your story would have shown lots of people ideas to increase their competitive advantage. And of course, you know, I think, you know, PayPal's experience and what they're doing to help businesses, that also opens up people's eyes to opportunities as well. Guys, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, that's the final episode or webinar in this 3-part series, Driving Business Online. If you want to see the other ones, go to the website and check it out. I'm Peter Switzer. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you in the future.